It's got the DHS letterhead at the top, and the memorandum says, and I'm quoting from it, ICE's refugee program is particularly vulnerable to fraud due to loose evidentiary requirements, where at times the testimony of an applicant alone is sufficient for approval. As a result, a range of bad actors who use manufactured histories, biographies, and other false statements, as well as produce and submit facetious supporting documentation, have exploited this program. And the memo goes on to note that in many instances, the applicant for a benefit, including both asylum and refugee status, receives a government-issued document that contains the biographic information that the applicant supplied. This document can then be used for many things, such as obtaining a driver's license. Now, this strikes me as a recipe for fraud, that if we are allowing refugees to come in without supporting information, tell us who they claim to be, and we're letting them in, despite the fact that the director of the FBI has told us they cannot vet these refugees to make sure they're not terrorists, how can we possibly be confident that the refugees coming in are not, in fact, terrorists seeking to murder innocent Americans?
What I am telling you is that I would not give that document a whole lot of credit, because whoever that person was did not do the homework to learn about our process. We can talk about real gaps, real issues, real areas of risk. That document was written by somebody who did not take the time to familiarize themselves.
Do you disagree with the passage I read, though?
I disagree.
So is it true or false that the testimony of the applicant alone can be sufficient for approval?
It is considered, it depends on the case. Usually we do have extensive documentation. Syrians in particular present with extensive documentation, passports, military records. So there is documentation that we review. In fact, if you come to one of our refugee settlement centers, you'll see piles of documents.
Mr. Rodriguez, it's a very simple question. My time has expired, but I just would like to get an answer to this question. Is it true or false that the testimony of the applicant alone can be sufficient for approval?
There are cases where the testimony is not necessarily corroborated by documents, but it is always tested against country conditions and other information. That's why it doesn't lend itself in the way that you're asking the question, Senator.
Are you saying it's true, or you're saying it's false? I'm just trying to understand.
No, I am acknowledging that, yes, testimony can be the basis for the grant of a refugee, but it needs to be tested against other information that we know about the country conditions at a minimum.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Mr. Rodriguez, all of you work for the people of the United States. This is the Congress of the United States. We have a right to ask questions. We expect unbiased, objective answers. And he took too long to get you to acknowledge that answer. And I don't appreciate it. And I just tell you, others doubt the validity of this program and how effective it is. Yesterday, Director Comey of the FBI, before the House, under oath, testified the challenge will be, talking about the hopeful defeat of ISIL, at least taking away their territory, and he said the challenge will be, through the fingers of that crush of ISIS, are going to come hundreds of very, very dangerous people. They will not all die on the battlefield in Syria and Iraq. There will be terrorist diaspora sometime in the next 2 to 5 years like we've never seen before. He added, quote, "We must prepare ourselves and our allies, especially in Western Europe, to confront that threat, because when ISIL is reduced to an insurgency and those killers flow out, they will try to come to Western Europe and here to kill innocent people," close quote. And what he's saying is, we don't have a system that can stop that from happening. And it can happen in a lot of different ways. And I'm uneasy that you're reluctant to acknowledge the dangers that we have. You're in charge of it. He's in charge of security too, and he admits there are dangers. And I'm just not happy about it. Just want you to know. And I believe Senator Cruz is correct to say there's a willful blindness here, just refusal to acknowledge plain reality.